Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Herp Monday number 14 and we have a really interesting one for y'all today. This one, it has one of the weirdest calls you can ever hear. And by that, let's listen. That woo sound is the call of this particular one that we're talking about today. Today we are talking about the Mexican burrowing toad. Mexican burrowing toad, or scientific name Rhinophrynus dorsalis. The family name is Rhinophrinidae. So as you can imagine, with it be Rhinophrynus and Rhinophrinidae, it is essentially alone in its family. It is a very unique frog. It has been said that it looks like a bag of jelly. It's basically a pretty soft looking frog. But it is native to South Texas and then all throughout kind of Latin America, you know, Mexico, Panama, things like that. But they're primarily found along the coastlines. These are not a very big frog. They are actually very short. They're about 75 to 85 millimeters, which that's about 3 to 3.3 inches. If you found anything over 3.5 inches, that'd be a monster burrowing toad. As you can tell from this picture, it has a very short but stout and a very globular shaped body. So it's, you know, short, it's thick, and it's basically a big round blob. Yeah, it doesn't matter kind of however you find it. It does come in a range of colors. It's got this kind of purple to black, you got some red. It's got a small range of colors, but it's essentially kind of the same darker tone. And as you can tell in these pictures, it does have this stripe down the middle. That is a pretty distinct characteristic, this stripe going from the head down the back. It does have a very conical head, if you can tell here and here and here. This is one floating on the water, and we'll get into it floating on the water later on. But it's got this short conical head, and that really helps it because this is actually a fossorial species primarily, meaning that these toads spend most of the time buried in the ground and kind of digging through the ground. So you can imagine with that conical head, it allows them kind of drill through the it allows them to drill through the loose soil that is predominant around coastal areas. Something else to help with this is it actually has small little shovels, little spades on its hind feet. So you think of an extremely thick toenail that grows right on the inside of its foot, and it uses those to actually help it dig, especially when they're above ground and they're trying to dig fast to go in that. They'll dig backwards using those spades. Something else that helps with it being fossorial is it has actually very small eyes. Very, very small eyes. Also, there's no tympanum visible, and a tympanum is basically, think like an external eardrum. There's a thin amount of skin over where a frog's and toad's ears are, and you can look on almost any picture of them, you'll notice there's a circular kind of indentation, and that's where their eardrum is. Something else about their snout is it's covered in really small sort of spines or kind of warts, tubercles. That helps really make its snout a lot tougher. That allows it to kind of ram into the dirt without damaging itself. It actually, on top of that, it actually secretes a mucus that allows it to really seal its lips together so that no dirt actually gets into its mouth. So it's really sealing its mouth. Something that is unique about this frog is, unlike most frogs that kind of roll their tongue out, these project the tongue of the Mexican burrowing toad projects directly outward. So there's no sort of movement up or down as there is in other frogs. And this is a specialization for eating underground, and especially eating ants and termites, which is what this frog really eats. So it'll dig and it'll get close to an ant pile, and then it'll dig low and get into a tunnel, and then it basically just shoots its tongue in there to eat ants as they grow by. Same thing with termites. It'll find a termite mound, get close to it, and kind of bury in those tunnels and kind of open up a tunnel, and then just basically shoot its tongue eating termites as they go through. This is a frog that is classified as an explosive breeder. Explosive breeders essentially only breed when opportunity is right, but then they breed a lot. And for this, it's actually during floods. During floods, when the waters make pools that make standing pools, they don't really breed in rivers or in the actual ocean. Like I said, they are found along the coastline. But during a heavy rain event, when there are pools of water just kind of found throughout the landscape, that's when they'll breed. And so then during breeding, the male will float on the water doing calls. And that is what the call was. And as you can see, here's one floating on water. Here's another one floating on water. So that means a recent rain event has happened, and they're trying to have a mating event happen. Now this video is from Alexander Wilson. It's really hard to find calls for this one, but we're gonna play this again so y'all can see and hear again what it is. And it makes that woo woo kind of sound, and it just really blows its throat up. You can look at the amount of air that this frog is bringing in to make its call, and you can just hear it. Woo. It's a very, very interesting call. Now, something about the Mexican burrowing toad, and kind of like the last unique fact we're going to get into, there's not a lot of facts out there on Mexican burrowing toad. They're kind of your more basic frog, other than their sort of specialization. So there's not a lot of information right now for this frog, which I apologize. But one of the most unique characteristics about this frog is actually that it is genetically unique. And we've talked about genetically unique things, the arowana being semi-unique, things like that. Well, it's amazing on how genetically distinct, and by distinct I mean kind of on its own. It's amazing that this has no relatives. They're the most evolutionary distinct amphibian species on the planet, meaning that they are so far removed and really not related to other frogs and other toads, really in any significance genetically. And in fact, and this is the interesting fact, a fruit bat, a polar bear, a fruit bat, a polar bear, a killer whale, a kangaroo, and a human are all more genetically similar to each other than the Mexican burrowing toad is to any other amphibian in the world. So I want you to think about it. A fruit bat, a polar bear, a killer whale, a kangaroo, and a human are all more genetically related to each other than this toad is to any other amphibian. Not just frogs, not just toad, to any other amphibian in the world. So makes you really, really think about it. But thank you guys so much again. Sorry that this is a short one, but you're gonna have those every once in a while. Thank you guys so much again. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, I would really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. If I don't, please take care of yourselves, and peace.